Hey guys, what's up? It's the Trade Block Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the NBA Conference Finals coming to a close soon. We'll see what happens. And then we're going to be talking about the NFL Week 2 surprises. A lot of injuries, unfortunately. And we're going to be talking about looking ahead to Week 3, some big matchups there. So we'll start off with the NBA. Let's start off Lakers-Nuggets. Nuggets have them right where they want them, It's 3-1 in the deficit. This is where they play their best. Okay, but in all reality, the Nuggets have played them tough. It should be a 2-2 series if Mason Plumlee decided to play defense in the last possession of the game, but I don't see the Nuggets coming back. I don't know. What do you guys think?
This series should be 2-2, but it's not. I think the Lakers are ending it tonight. I don't think you want to go to Game 6 with the Nuggets. I think that feels all too familiar. So, I think they're going to come out with a new intensity, and they're just going to try to bury them tonight. Jamal Murray, though, I want to talk about, him, from another viewpoint. I think he's truly made the leap from, a good starter to, top 10 point guards in the league. He's officially a star now, maybe a perennial all-star. He really has just – and, it's not, one good series. He's really been playing out of his mind. In all aspects. His assists are up, his rebounds are up. According to Mike Malone, he's been playing the best defense of his career. This Denver team, literally, if they just run it back, I don't know. I can see a title in their very near future, or at least maybe 2 finals appearances. I love this team right now, and they're so young, but I'm taking the Lakers tonight.
Yeah, I think if you're the Nuggets, what you're really thinking is that you've already won. Because you've done better than everybody thought you could, probably even better than you thought you could. And yeah, like Andres said, it's a young team, and they're looking very promising for the future. Definitely going to be in the, conference, playoffs next year. And unfortunately, the Lakers are just looking a little too scary. LeBron James has that look in his eye that you don't want to deal with. Anthony Davis is playing really well. And I think the Lakers are going to close it out, but it's not a closed door in the Nuggets' future.
No,
guaranteed.
Okay,
that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting that we are talking about a series where the best player in the world is playing, and we're talking about how impressive the other team has been. And I think that just goes to show how well the Nuggets have been playing in this playoffs. Coming back from 3-1 deficits like they're in right now is incredibly impressive. I don't know if we're going to see anything like that again in the near future. But I feel like it's just so hard to say that the Lakers aren't going to win this game. There's so much experience on that other team. You have LeBron, Danny Green, who hasn't been playing good. But if we're talking about experience, Rajon Rondo, just a bunch of veterans who are used to this playoff atmosphere. And I think that it's going to be not a blowout tonight, but I could see the Lakers coming out and winning pretty forcibly here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets won, because that's what they do. That's their thing. They've been doing that the entire playoffs. But I feel like when you have LeBron on the other side of the court, he doesn't let things happen like what happened to the Clippers. I just don't think that that'll happen.
I have a question for you guys. Quick question. Do you guys think the Nuggets could have come back from 3-1 in both series if we weren't in the bubble? If we were just playing home court advantage with fans? They would have had to play Game 6 of the first series in Utah. And they would have had to play 5 and 7 in Staples against the Clippers.
Honestly, probably not. Home court advantage.
Maybe they could have taken Utah, I'm thinking. But
I don't know about the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't know about the Clippers either. I think Clippers would have been able to do it. It's just the bubble environment. it's helped out the Heat especially too. I think the Bucks Heat series was significantly affected by there being no home court advantage for the Bucks.
Sure.
But this Nuggets team, they're proving they're legit. I say, even if they don't come out of the Western Conference Finals, they'll run it back next year with some improved development from MPJ if he develops on defense, and if they actually use Bol Bol, who I think could be a good factor. I mean, he played decently in the bubble games, but I mean, I think he could actually be a solid player for them. But in general, this team is very good, very young. And I'm just saying, don't count them out. We can't count them out yet. I mean, series could be 2-2. The series could be 3-1 Nuggets, honestly. If a couple players have gone their way, and LeBron doesn't get like every single foul call in the world, but anyways, on to the Heat Celtics. So Celtics in 6 was incorrect, but Celtics in 7 is very much so alive. Okay, just saying. I'm not gonna come out and say any crazy predictions like, "Oh, Celtics in 7 has already happened. They're going to the finals." No, I'm just gonna say they have life. Okay, with the way they won Game 5, I'm very happy. I'm very excited for all Celtics fans. I think we have a very good shot. Okay, we play good defense. We finally hit shots. Jaylen Brown played well. Jason Tatum played well. And the biggest factor, honestly, was Daniel Tice. Okay, he what he would always do during like the first 4 games, he catch the ball in the middle of the zone and he'd immediately look to pass, look to hand it off to one of the other stars, right? But in this game, he got the ball in the middle of the zone and he looked to shoot, which is something he had never done for the entire series. And it really did change his game, and it changed everyone else's game because everything else was just more open after that happened. And if he keeps playing like that, I think I'm just saying he could be an X factor in the series.
The Heat messed up. This was the Heat's first and biggest mistake of these playoffs, probably in the bubble. This was their first mistake. They let their foot off the gas. They were like, "Oh, it's 3-1." Like, they're disoriented. They're probably not playing like a team right now. We got them right where we want. Like, it's over. Bam let his foot off the gas. So did Tyler. We even had the Duncan Robinson game, right? He was due for a great game. He had one last night. We didn't capitalize on it. We didn't give him enough help. And Boston responded. Tice had 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Unacceptable. Bam Adebayo should be absolutely terrorizing him in the paint. And he wasn't last night. I'm not saying, I still have Miami winning this, maybe in 6, hopefully not in 7, but I have them winning it, definitely the series, but you can't give that kind of life to the Celtics in the conference finals. That's scary. You can't give them that hope, enough to fight back. We've already seen that, in the bubble, anything can happen. Crazy comebacks are, still a possibility. The fact that you gave up a game to Boston, I don't know. Big mistake.
Boston Celtics are a solid team, a very good team, very good depth, very good offense, very good defense. Miami Heat. When I think of the Miami Heat, I think of a fire, very much as the mascot implies, because their energy, it impacts directly to their play style. And if you give them a lot of energy, they're going to play better than the most solid of teams. And if they're not feeling great, or if their energy is tainted by a feeling that they've already won, or a feeling that their drive is gone, then they're going to kind of be a smaller fire. And I think it's going to come down to is how the Heat are going to feel in their future games. Because if they're feeling good, we've seen it, they're too unstoppable. They're shooting threes left and right, and they're making all of them. But now they're not feeling great, and they miss threes, and then they lose. So really it just comes down to how are they feeling. Because we've seen how great they can be, and we've seen how bad they can be.
Are you saying the Heat are sad or something?
I'm saying
They
got hit with bubble depression.
They got hit with counting their eggs before they're hatched. They think they have Boston in a good spot, but Boston's a really good team, and you can't just count them out like that. That's what happened.
Isn't it counting their chickens before they hatch?
Did I say
No.
count their eggs before they're hatched?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Well, I misspoke.
Either way, I'm just gonna say one thing. Riley's NBA analysis has just been amazing recently.
I think-
Comeback
applause.
analysis.
The in-depth
sizer
analogy,
here.
I mean,
It's
really
amazing.
diving
I
into
love
I
it.
appreciate it.
I'm winning comeback player of the year, to be honest.
Okay.
Undeniable.
No, but this series has been all about adjustments. I mean, the Heat zone in Game 1 was the big thing. Everyone was talking about that after the game, how they made that adjustment in the second half, and it worked, and the Celtics couldn't figure it out. Go to Game 5, the first half was not looking good for the Celtics. The Celtics make an offensive adjustment, and they score 41 points in the third quarter. I am very worried for the Heat because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, they're very inexperienced. I mean, they have a very experienced coach. I guess you can say that Jimmy Butler is kind of experienced, but
Jimmy's experienced in the playoffs, but he's never been this far.
No.
He's never even been in the conference finals.
I mean, yeah, he lost to Kawhi last year, and that's kind of it. And that wasn't even the conference finals. So that is very concerning when you have a ton of young players like Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, all these guys who haven't been in this situation before. I don't think Tyler Hero really has nerves, but last night was a disappointing performance. It really wasn't impressive. If he didn't get 2 garbage time shots, he scores under 10 points. And Bam had an off game too. The Heat tend to shoot themselves in the foot a lot, and tonight was one of those nights where they have a very commanding lead and they blow it. I mean, if you watch the Heat through the entire playoffs, they've done that a lot. Now, a majority of the time they come back from it and they win, but this just wasn't their night. And you can't do that, especially when you're playing a Celtics team that has the potential to come back and spark a fire, as Riley was talking about, and they can totally come back and win this series, which is really scary. I don't know. I think everything is really up in the air right now. I think it's what team is going to make the adjustments down the stretch. Right now, the Celtics are doing that. So we have to see what the Heat's going to do because now it's their move. But if they can't and they don't have enough experience to, then we could see Celtics in 7. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. And speaking about Bam, Daniel Tice scored 15 points last game and he got 13 rebounds. Bam had 13 points and 8 rebounds. I think that's a huge factor. The Celtics really went to the paint and they went at Bam, and Bam didn't really respond. Also, certain Heat fans, I'm not going to mention who, texted me last night saying a lot of things about the refs. I just want to point out a couple of things. First off, they shot the same amount of free throws. Okay, both teams shot 29. And I'll tell you the exact reason why the Heat lost last night. Shooting 19% from 3. It is very, very difficult to win a game shooting 19% from 3. Okay? I'm not saying the refs were good, because they weren't, but they were bad on both sides. Okay? They were not just bad to the Heat. Okay? That's not why they lost, I don't think. And I hope that the refs won't be a deciding factor in the series. Hopefully that won't be, but we'll see how the series goes. Anyways, on to the NFL. First off, just want to say, my pick, Raiders against the Saints, which everyone clowned me for, turned out. And I'm just saying, Raiders to the playoffs. Derek Carr is legit,
right.
Okay? Darren Waller is legit, okay? Go ahead, rip me all you want.
No, I come next, right? I speak next, and I'm hopping on that bandwagon. Well, I've been on that bandwagon since before the season started. I like the Raiders, always have, always will. They're kind of my Lions in the AFC. And I had them going to the playoffs. I had them going 9-7 and going to the playoffs. Me and Jake said this before the season started. Everyone was like, "No, you're crazy." They're 2-0. They're 2-0, and they didn't play scrub. They played the New Orleans Saints, who a lot of us had going to the Super Bowl. Am I right?
Super Bowl champs.
No, well, not me.
Super Bowl champs.
Really? Oh wow.
Okay. Well, they're 1-1.
That's a little bit.
You know, They're
That was my
tied with the
prediction.
Bucks.
That's what I think.
So, like this team is talented. The offense is clearly top 10 in the league. The defense is clearly not. But it'll get there. It'll get there. It's very hard to not have a good season after going 2-0. Like, you could totally fall off due to injuries, but I feel like once you have that momentum, you're bound to win at least over 7 games. At least 7 if you're 2-0. Like, it's really not that hard. I mean, they have a lot of winnable games. They had a lot of toss-ups, right? I know they have the Dolphins. They have the Pats coming up. I think that's the real test of their season. If they go out there, even win or lose, if they go out there and flop against the Patriots, like have a horrible game, maybe we overrated them. But if they keep it close, we could see this team in the playoffs. The 7th seed, remember, that's still an option. So.
Yeah. I like a lot of people was kind of disappointed by the Saints. I think it speaks a little more about the Saints than the Raiders, I have to say, even though the Raiders played amazing. I can't deny that. Do I think they're going to the playoffs? No, I don't, because their defense is bad, really bad. And there's a lot of good teams out there that are going to fill that 7 seed slot, like maybe the Falcons or something like that. Even though
Falcons are in the NFC.
Riley, bro. Oh my God, Riley.
Listen, listeners. Normally we cut this, but Riley's been getting way too cocky with his takes lately, so we're just gonna leave this in to humble him.
Okay, why did I say that the Falcons are in the same division? It was a mind game, but disregard that now. I think that the Raiders are a good team that are held by a few columns of support on their offense. One is John Gruden, one is Darren Waller, and one is Josh Jacobs.
And one is Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
One of them is not Derek. One of them is not Derek.
I think Derek Carr should.
He faced the Saints defense.
Mm-hmm. Not like injury depleted or anything. Like fully healthy.
The prime Saints defense.
And he shredded
it. Fantastic.
Shredded them.
Not good, not great. He played amazing.
I think, again, this is speaking to Saints just not being as good. But I don't think Derek Carr is like one of the things that are going to make him win. But I think one of those 3 pillars fall, they're going to collapse. And we've seen how easy it is for that to happen this season, especially with injuries. So that's why I'm not putting the Raiders in the playoffs.
I'm going to agree with Riley. I don't think that the Raiders are going to make the playoffs. And I'm going to give credit to the coaching staff. John Gruden is an incredible offensive mind. And Jack Del Rio is a really solid defensive play caller. I mean, we saw him when the Broncos defense was very scary. The difference, though, between that Broncos defense and this Raiders defense is that the Raiders do not have a lot of playmakers. This defense is just really depleted in terms of talent. And I love the Raiders offense. Their offensive line, their run game, their passing game, although the wide receivers aren't good, they have Darren Waller. That's kind of all you need. And that offense, as Andre said, I think it's top 10 as of right now. However, I don't think that they are going to be able to win a bunch of shootouts against a lot of the teams that they have to play next. I don't see them beating the Chiefs in the shootouts. I think their division is still really tough because those 3 defenses are still really good. And then they also have to play the Patriots and the Bills. I don't see them winning either of those games because those defenses are just really good. I don't know if the Raiders are going to be able to keep up this pace and keep scoring 34 points a game. I think that that's really hard to do for any offense, including the Chiefs or the Ravens. I just feel like that's really hard to keep up. And I think the Raiders are going to slow down a little bit. So don't get me wrong. If they make the playoffs, I won't be surprised. But this defense just isn't impressive enough for me to believe that they're going to be able to be consistent enough to make a playoff push this year.
Well, I mean, their division is kind of bad now. I mean, Jeff Driscoll is leading the Broncos. Justin Herbert, who actually did look decent last week, to be fair, is leading the Chargers. And I mean, I think that could be 4 wins for them right there. And they do have winnable games on the schedule. You talked about how they face the Pats and the Bills. That also means they play the Jets and the Dolphins. So, there's winnable games on that schedule. But speaking about the Pats, that Pats Seahawks game last week, that was insane. That was a very fun game. And I'm just gonna say the Pats impressed, I think, everyone. Came down to the last play of the game. And you know what? Respect to the Pats. They played out. They played really well.
Yeah, they did. I think as a Pats fan, and I can speak for all the Pats fans, this is exactly what we needed. We needed to see our team go against the Seahawks team that I think is going to be a Super Bowl contender and play it right next to them. Almost win the game. Comes down to a goal line, they don't make it. I count that as a win in my books. You put up these numbers with Cam Newton. A lot of people are doubting him. And he goes on to play great. He's throwing the ball. He's running the ball. He's being accurate too. These Patriots receivers are stepping up. N'Keal Harry isn't totally garbage like he kind of was last year. Demir Bird is all right, I guess. Julian Edelman, come on. People don't respect him enough. He is one of the best receivers in the past decade. Overall,
Okay.
over time.
On steroids?
Over time.
All right, keep going.
The defense, I mean, yeah, Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett kind of, walked all over them. But it is Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Chris Carson. So, you can't look at the Patriots and go the dynasty is over. This is a new dynasty. It's the Cam Newton Patriots dynasty. And I think I'm really excited about it.
First of all, you can't say Cam Newton's the new bright spot for the Patriots and then be like, he runs, he throws, okay? So do most quarterbacks.
Not Brady.
Everyone not named Brady and Breeze is doing that these days. I don't think you can start unless you're 40 years old and white, or you can run. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. I don't something smells fishy about the Patriots to me. I don't know if it's the fact that we've seen Cam for the last 2 years play a dumpster fire. I don't know if it's the fact that this wide receiver core looks the most depleted out of any team in the league. If we have to talk about N'Keal Harry being the number 2 guy, something is up. The running back room is not what it once was. Definitely not what it once was. Even the defense is missing some playmakers. Even Gilmore got absolutely trashed by DK Metcalf. And, I get it. He's a specimen, and he's, a great receiver. Besides being big, he's an actually very talented receiver. But this is Gilly Lock. If there's one guy who locks up these guys, it's him.
I do want to say one thing.
Go for it. Go ahead.
On that play where DK Metcalf made the huge catch, Gilmore was right on him, and Russell Wilson dropped the ball from the clouds right into his hands. Gilmore was right on
a pass? He threw a pass?
It was one of the best passes I've seen. Probably this is the best pass I've seen.
You've also been watching football for 20 minutes, so
yeah. I don't care. This was a beautiful pass. Gilmore was right on him, and Metcalf made the catch. But I don't think it speaks
something smells fishy.
I don't know.
They only beat the Dolphins by 10. They lost to the Seahawks. I don't know. It's kind of a watered down version of last year's team. And the only upgrade is at quarterback. I'll say that. This team is worse in all aspects except quarterback from last year. Yeah. Name one other aspect in which they're better.
How were they worse than last year?
The defense was better last year, first of all. There's no contesting that.
True, yeah.
Okay. The wide receiver room was better last year.
No,
it wasn't.
It's not good this year though.
There's no difference.
It's
bad.
worse.
Yeah.
And by the way, the running back room, it's terrible. Okay, Sonny Michel last week, 7 rushes, 19 yards. 7 rushes, 19 yards.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
Cam
don't know
The
Newton's
what's
led
only
the team in rushing.
upgrade this
He's going to
team
lead the team in
made
rushing.
was at quarterback. Sure,
It's
it
a
was a
huge
big
upgrade. Huge upgrade.
But the rest
We'll
of the
see.
team either stayed the same or got painfully worse. Something
This
smells
team-
fishy.
This team went 12-4 last.
If I were a
season.
betting man, which I am, I would take the Bills to win the division. I'm sorry. I'm still rolling with the Bills.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I still think the Bills 100% are going to win the division. But I know we talked about the Patriots a lot in this game, but this game kind of solidified for me the main reason why the Seahawks aren't going to make it to the Super Bowl and win it. And they don't have a defensive line. And I said it before the year started. They got no pressure on Cam Newton. The only sack that they had came from Jamal Adams. And they're going to use Jamal Adams, and that's great because they need to generate some sort of pass rush. But when you allow Cam Newton to score 3 touchdowns and throw for 400 yards after his second week coming off of a shoulder injury, and I get it, he played well against the Dolphins. I'm not giving a lot of credit to them because that Dolphins defense did not look good. But you're not going to be able to stop offenses like the Chiefs and the Ravens and maybe the Saints when they get Michael Thomas back. Because if you can't generate a pass rush, those offenses are going to take advantage of it. And if you think Cam Newton had a good game, I can't wait to see what Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson will do when they get 7 seconds in the pocket every play. I want to give as much credit as possible to Russell Wilson. He is the best player in the NFL right now. And he will probably be MVP. But there are some glaring holes that I was talking about before the season started, specifically on the offensive and defensive lines that are going to hold this team back from winning a Super Bowl. I just don't think that they have enough pieces there. Everywhere else is great. Wide receiver room, great. Running back room, great. Quarterback, secondary, Bobby Wagner, if you want to call the linebacker room, great. In the trenches, this team's going to struggle a lot, and I think that playoff teams have to rely on them to make sure that they win games and they're able to do what they want to do as an offense and a defense. And I'm very nervous right now that the Seahawks are not going to be able to compete with teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens who have incredible offensive and defensive lines. I just don't see it happening.
It's crazy how they don't have a defensive line, but they got that goal line stop to win the game. It's honestly, that's crazy. That's
Well,
crazy.
that's
yeah,
not
when
a
you-
line. That's not
Yeah,
a D
when you
line.
have the
I mean-
whole 11 players
okay,
on the
and
one
then
That's
there's
all
10
it
players
was, man.
blocking. So I mean, maybe that's on the
They
Patriots
stacked the
for
box.
calling a very
They stacked the
predictable
box because
call.
once again, they knew that when it comes down to it, Cam's going to run. Cam's not going to throw. If you fluster Cam enough, he's going to turn to his legs, not his arm. And that's not
Crazy
how
how-
you beat teams.
And
crazy
that's
how we're
exactly
telling
what didn't
Bills
happen.
winning the East.
It's crazy how we're
Yeah.
telling people now to throw the ball on the 1 yard line. It's crazy. What happened last time when
Exactly.
when someone threw the ball
No.
on the
It
1 yard line?
always
I'm
comes
not
down to the
saying
goal
that.
line with these teams.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying they need to throw the ball on the 1 yard line. But Andres made a very good point. If you put pass rush on a player like Cam Newton, he's going to run. And he has to go into the back end of that defense. And when you have guys like Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams, you're playing to your strengths on defense. If you can't get that, you see Julian Edelman have 8 catches for 180 yards. Like, that's not going to happen again this year.
Well,
And that's because they could not generate a consistent pass rush. And Cam Newton played a great game. And he was throwing dimes all over the field, regardless of who he was throwing to, because he had time. So this secondary is fine. But regardless, if you can't get a pass rush, all of these quarterbacks are going to be able to have time in the pocket. And regardless of who they are, they're NFL quarterbacks. If you give them time, they're going to find open men, regardless of whether it's a check down or if it's a post 20 yards down the field or a go route. They're going to be able to find people who they can throw the ball to. So I think the pass rush is going to be the deciding factor for the Seahawks this year.
I don't know. I believe in the Seahawks. I think they're a very legit team. I think even if their defense doesn't hold up, I think their offense is very good enough to where he can outscore teams.
Good enough to win the
including-
shootout with the Ravens or Chiefs?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. Why? Because
Okay.
Russell Wilson is hungry. He wants that Super Bowl. He wants to prove that he is the best
Okay.
quarterback in the league. And he's not right now. It's Patrick Mahomes. Although he's playing like it right now. Mahomes is a little bit off. Has been a little bit off in the past weeks. Overall, yes, Mahomes is the best quarterback. But right now, Russell Wilson's playing like the best quarterback. And he's playing like the MVP candidate, which he should be. But anyways, moving on to week 3. Very big matchup, Monday Night Football. Chiefs versus the Ravens. I think we actually have consensus on this game, which is crazy because we never have consensus on like anything. But I think we all have the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken.
I have the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a Monday night gift from the gods. I mean, we really needed this game, and it's gonna be a good game. I don't know why everyone's taking the under. Like, we were talking about it, everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be low scoring game. I don't know why. This is two very high powered offenses, extremely high powered, and like I get the appeal because like the Ravens defense is legit. It's terrifying, but Mahomes finds a way always. Like he never fails to perform. So I'm taking the over. I'm taking the Ravens though.
Yeah, I think, check marks. The Ravens check a few check marks. Defense, better defense. They have a better run offense, and they have maybe a weaker throwing offense, but I don't think it's to the degree that you would need to have the Chiefs to have a better overall offense. Lamar Jackson, playmaker. Patrick Mahomes, playmaker. Should be an awesome game, but I think the Ravens are just looking kind of more solid overall.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are the best regular season team in the NFL, and we saw that last year. I mean, going 14-2 is no slouch. That's really impressive. If this was a playoff game, I would pick the Chiefs because, as Andre said, Mahomes always performs, always finds a way to win. But right now, I think that the Chargers kind of exposed the Chiefs a little bit. And I really like the Chargers defense. Even without Derwin James, I think that their defense would be even better. But without Derwin James, keeping the Chiefs to 23 points and having to make them kick a 58-yard field goal to win is really impressive and probably does expose some ways of how you can slow Patrick Mahomes down, at least in the regular season. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a game like the Chiefs-Rams that we had a few years ago. One of the best games I've ever watched. Offensive firepower on both sides, really impressive. I do think that this is going to be a defensive matchup. Regardless, it's going to be a really entertaining game, probably one of the best of the year. So I'm really excited to see this. I'm picking the Ravens. I think we all are, but I don't think any of us would be shocked if the Chiefs pulled it out.
Yeah, I mean, I compared the Bucks to the Ravens, and I think that's like a very good analogy. I mean, they're both regular season teams. We haven't seen either of those teams perform at a high level in the playoffs yet. I mean, we'll see if the Ravens can get it done this year. I think the Ravens are going to win, but I don't think it's an indicator of how they're playing in the playoffs. I think if the Chiefs and Ravens match up in the AFC Conference Finals, which is what I do think will happen, I think the Chiefs will get it done then. By then, they'll have figured out all these little kinks and everything. I mean, they didn't look great. They didn't look like dominant, like how we typically see the Chiefs. They didn't look like that versus the Chargers, who had a rookie quarterback starting because Tyrod Taylor, is very sad with his punctured lung. That doctor really had Justin Herbert on his fantasy team, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, they don't look great right now. But I think they'll pick it up come playoff time.
Okay, so we'll do one more quick one. Seahawks-Cowboys. That's also destined to be a great game, I think. After what Benji said about the Lions, who are you taking? I'm still rolling with the Seahawks.
Please, if you have any of these players on the Seahawks or Cowboys on your fantasy team, start them because it's going to be a shootout.
Including
this is
Michael
an
Gallup.
offensive week.
This is
including
such-
Michael Gallup,
All right.
even though he's
Start-
been
start
disappointing.
CeeDee Lamb.
He's been disappointing.
Okay.
Start Michael Gallup.
Start CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb got 16
You know,
points last week.
start Dalton Schultz. Okay, that's
Yeah,
Dallas
I
Cowboys.
actually have him on
Yep.
my bench.
I'm actually starting him.
Start
okay? 'Cause I need
anyone.
him. I need
Start
him.
anyone on these teams, and they're gonna get at least.
Who are you
Kellen Moore.
taking,
Start
though?
Kellen Moore. Okay.
Who are you taking?
Oh, I'm taking the Seahawks.
Seahawks?
Yeah.
Benji?
Seahawks. I
Seahawks.
don't have confidence in the Cowboys.
Another consensus. All right.
Wait,
Yeah,
Andres, you're not back in your Super Bowl prediction.
Look, every team's gotta have some lows before they get the highs. You know how it is. I don't have to tell you, Mr. Philadelphia.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. We're
and on that
experiencing a
note-
lot of lows right now.
On a Carson quenched note, we'll wrap it up. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should call it. So we're posting on YouTube now, so make sure to check us out. Trade Block Podcast on YouTube. If you wanna see our faces and look at Riley while he's talking and his elegance, then check us out. Make sure you like and
Please.
subscribe on YouTube. And we're gonna try and be more active on the socials. School's been kind of crazy. That started up again, but we're gonna be trying to post as much as we can. Follow us on Instagram at Trade Block Podcast, Twitter at Trade Block Sport. And without that, nice. That was beautiful. We're going to cut it. Nice.